Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. On this page, I talk about technology and money. Sometimes I also talk about trending topics. If you're new here, welcome. Glad that either the algorithm brought you here or you're a returning subscriber. Uh, I ask that if you consider liking and sharing the video. Liking and sharing the video does two things. It is you telling the algorithm that you find this information helpful, encouraging, interesting, etc. So then is you are adding value and it makes it available to other people. And then number two, it encourages me to continue creating content that you all find interesting and encouraging and engaging. And I want to take a moment to thank everyone who has supported the channel in 2022. I may do a separate video, shorter video later this month on that. I believe the channel just hit 500 subscribers, which is exciting. I appreciate it. And I just aim to keep this platform a respectful, encouraging place to dialogue about technology and money, and then also trending topics. So today I just wanted to talk about just three things today, and I'm going to share my screen. First article, and again, as always, I'll be sure to leave a link to all references in the description box so you can go and read the article. You can go and just, read a little bit more, research the topic a little bit more yourself. Like I always tell you guys on this channel, don't believe everything I say. Always do your own research, okay? And that's which is anything you come across on the internet. Always do your own research, okay, before you apply any type of concept to your life in terms of money, in terms of technology, just in terms of anything, right? Just always do your own due diligence. So let me share my screen. So our first topic, I want to talk a little bit about artificial intelligence driven virtual nurses. And I've talked on this channel before about how artificial intelligence is really becoming more and more a part of healthcare, and healthcare is becoming more digital. We've seen that, like I've talked about in an earlier video this year, how larger health systems like out in California, up in New England, further down south, like in Texas and Florida, instead of having chief information officers like a CIO, they are repurposing that title to be a chief digital officer, right? So we're seeing that in the larger health systems across the country. So as healthcare becomes more and more technology driven and embedded, we're going to see more and more of artificial intelligence, robotics, etc. So I want to share just a few articles that I came across actually today about that. And then why am I talking about that? Because, as I'm a registered nurse, I work in tech, but it's not just my profession that is being revolutionized by technology. I had a conversation earlier this year with Black Women Making Money. And we did a video on her platform where we talked about the future of work, right? For Black women, but also for just women in general and people in general. The world is changing and continuing to change, right? So we just had to think about, as if you're in healthcare, if you're a nurse, how that's going to impact yourself, right? Or even your children, and how your children are educated, and what that's going to mean. What is that going to mean for their future? Okay. And hello to Joy. Welcome to everyone who's coming in. All right. So let me share my screen again. I don't plan to be before you all very long. Let's see. Is that Sharon? I think it's Sharon. Okay. Yes. So the first article comes to us from Becker. So I've talked about Becker's before. Becker's be having all the tea, y'all. I'll be telling y'all. Let me just do a quick check to make sure it is sharing, since I'm working with just one screen today. Yes, it is sharing. Okay, awesome. So I'm not going to go through the whole article, but what I wanted to just touch on. So this article, again, is from today. So today is Tuesday, December 20th, and they're talking about the top innovation trends of 2022, according to health system executives. So these are executives in healthcare technology who are leading large technology organizations that is supporting their primary customers are like a hospital or a health system. Okay, so the article says, from implementing robotics and artificial intelligence to digital apps and value-based care solutions, healthcare innovators had a busy 2022. So this article, this journalist reached out to 4 health system leaders who are working in healthcare tech to get their thoughts on what are the top innovations and trends and stories. And I want to draw your attention to the first story and then the last one. And I'm going to point out something interesting as well. So the first came from Catherine Birch. She's the Vice President of Health and Technology Innovation at Christiana Care. And so this Catherine Birch, this VP says, robotics is making great waves in healthcare. This year, we saw interesting uses in both the hospital setting in supporting nurses at the bedside and in the home. These artificial intelligence assistants hold great potential to not only help an already strained workforce, but also help healthy people stay at home. Then she goes on to say that she's excited to see the advancements. Now, when I went to several nursing and technology conferences this year, and at one of them, one of the larger ones I went to, which how many, I don't know how many nurses attended the conference this year. I know when I went to Magna in 2017, 2018, I think they had like 40,000 nurses. So I went this year, and they had robots on the sales floor. You know how you go, you see the vendors, and they had robots, and they were showing, you know, how they're using robots to help. Now, the robots that they were demoing at this conference were being used to assist nurses, like with tasks like running to the blood bank or delivering medications and things like that. And I know that I remember the name of the robot. But there's actually a video on it as well. I did a video earlier this year, but yes. So I'm talking about it because as we think about virtual nursing and using artificial AI-driven virtual nurses, what does that mean for the future of work for nurses? And if I'm a registered nurse working at the bedside and I want to transition into tech or any other type of specialty beyond bedside nursing, what type of skills do I need to look to get in? What do I need to do to upskill myself? I've worked in tech as a registered nurse for 19 years, but not everyone, and I have a master's degree, but you don't necessarily have to have a master's degree to transition into nursing informatics, which is essentially healthcare tech. But what are those things and skills that nurses at the bedside, even if you want to stay at the bedside and you don't want to leave, you want to stay there in direct patient care, but with these innovations continuing to come, they're not going to stop. The innovating is not going to stop. With challenges in workforce development and workforce staffing, with challenges with hospital finances, and just ways to run these hospitals and health systems smarter, leaner, more efficiently, and more effectively. If I'm a registered nurse and I'm staying at the bedside and these technical innovations are coming, what do I need to do to make sure I'm ready so I can continue to care for the patient and also work with the technology? So I just think it's really interesting as we're looking at these innovations continuing to come. So I also wanted to point out, now before I get into this last one, and again, this goes back to a TikTok video I did earlier this year about being a registered nurse working in tech. And y'all know how the comments can go. People were saying, "Oh, you're not a real nurse because you work in tech," etc. And but I wanted to share how this is a registered nurse. right here. And I've talked about in the past on TikTok and here that there are registered nurses in tech who are leading technology organizations. And this lady, Dr. Karen Murphy, is one of them. She's Executive Vice President and Chief Innovation and Digital Transformation Officer at a health system in Pennsylvania. So, and I point that out every time I see like Ellen Pollack, who is a CIO at UCLA Health out in Los Angeles, California, which is a very UCLA Health is a very large health system in one of the largest cities in the world. So every time I see registered nurses in technology leadership roles, I always take a moment to acknowledge that, to just show nurses. And you guys know, when I say nurses, I'm talking about registered nurses, licensed practical nurses, certified nursing assistants. I'm not just, I don't want to differentiate, to show that there are paths within healthcare technology and things that you can do, just to kind of show people what is possible. Okay, so she's a registered nurse working in tech, and she's leading a large organization, and she's the boss. She's the Chief Innovation and Digital Transformation Officer. But what she said is the biggest healthcare innovation trends in 2022 leverage digital technologies to fundamentally change healthcare. Given the massive workforce shortages across the industry, our focus is on using technology to develop strategies to serve our patients and employees most effectively. Here's the kicker. Here's the big thing. Here's the key takeaway to just think about, like even once this live ends. The new year will bring a heavy emphasis on broadly implementing technology such as self-scheduling, self-check-in, conversational AI, there's that artificial intelligence again, and robotic process automation. So that I keep talking about it. I keep talking about the advancement of robotics, AI, and healthcare, because it is going to mean something for nurses and how we do our work in the future. And then building on that, I wanted to talk about how this Tennessee health system, they're about to deploy AI-driven virtual nurses. So Ardent Health Services, I don't know how big this health system is. I want to look. I don't know like how many beds they have or how many campuses they have, but they've partnered with a software company, and I've heard of Care.ai, to implement the company's virtual nursing platform at Albuquerque, New Mexico-based Lovelace Medical Center. So let me do a correction here. So that this health services company is based in Tennessee, but they're going to implement the AI-driven virtual nursing platform at a hospital in New Mexico. So that's a correction there. So the artificial intelligence powered virtual nursing platform allows virtual nurses to manage a wide variety of patient care tasks that do not require physical proximity. The platform can complete tasks such as routine monitoring, documentation, education, precepting, and compliance reporting through in-room sensors and artificial intelligence autonomous inferencing. Autonomous inferencing. Woo. All right, the installation of the platform aims to streamline clinical workflows, improve patient care and the patient experience while supporting the nursing workforce. So they're looking to relieve burden carried by nurses and then also other healthcare workers. So again, I say, as I come across these stories, y'all, I will continue to share them, because as nurses, we have to always think about as these innovate, because sometimes these innovations are not nursing led or nursing driven or supported by, but to me, it is always the most beneficial as these technologies are being are not only being created, but also deployed, that nurses have a seat at the table, because we know clinical workflows. We know what it's like to work with multidisciplinary teams to care for patients. So it's not going to stop. The innovations are not going to stop. So let me do a quick time check, because I got two more topics I want to touch on tonight. The second thing I wanted to talk about is the innovation and advancement of AI-driven robots I did that. But then also I wanted to talk about home robots. And I'm just going to touch really briefly on this one. So as we're seeing the advancement of robotics within healthcare, it's also at home. So, I know Roombas have been around for a while. You can see the videos on YouTube with cats riding on top of the Roombas, and things like that. But if you haven't heard, this story caught my attention. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because when we think about not only home robots, but more than that, just the Internet of Things in our homes, like, Ring doorbell cameras, Dots, Amazon Dots, Amazon Alexas, Roombas, other things, AI-driven refrigerators in our homes that reminds us, sends us a text message to get milk on the way home from work, etc. So as we're thinking about, as these things are being deployed in our homes, it's exciting. I love technology, but we also have to think about what could be the downsides or drawbacks to have these Internet of Things connected devices, always on, always listening, always watching type situation. And so leading on to that, you can see this story. Now, this came from MIT Technology Review. This is where I first picked up on it, but it's on different, like, this is not the only news outlet talking about this story. So a Roomba, the Roombas are the robot vacuums, recorded a woman using the bathroom, and the screenshots ended up on Facebook. So the article goes on to say, because people were like, well, how, and I'm not, one of these articles do have a snapshot of it, but I don't want to show that. If you want to see it, you can go out and find it for yourself. But people were like, well, how did, if this robot is in someone's home, how did the pictures make it out of a private Facebook group into the public where you can go to a news article and see it? So in the fall of 2020, gig workers in Venezuela posted a series of images to online forums where they gathered to talk. Photos were mundane, of household scenes captured from low angles, including a lady using the restroom. And then so it was noted that the images were not taken by a person, but by development versions of iRobot's Roomba J7 series robot vacuum, which Amazon acquired for $1.7 billion and it's pending. So then the images from the robot were sent to a startup named Scale AI. And that startup contracts workers around the world to label data used to train artificial intelligence. Because, like with the algorithms, the more data you give it, the smarter, faster, more efficient it gives. So training, okay, so like when you go and you watch a YouTube video, like if you're watching this YouTube video, when you like it, that's you training the YouTube algorithm to give you more of what you might be interested in. And so MIT Technology Review was able to get 15 screenshots from those photos, which originally were posted to a closed social media group. The images have gone worldwide. And now it's talking about the practice of sharing potentially sensitive data to train algorithms. And they also reveal a whole data supply chain that few consumers are even aware of. And so MIT, in this article, and I'll leave a link to it where you guys can read it a little bit more if you're interested in it. But it just talks about how, as we're putting these technologies in our homes, in our offices, in our hospitals, right? But places like businesses, like health systems and hospitals, tend to have more strict cybersecurity measures, things behind a firewall, or, in black boxes where it's difficult for cybersecurity people with nefarious ideals can get to. But in a home, the average consumer may not put all of those, extra layers of cybersecurity. So this article goes on to talk about, how the images got leaked. Let me just make sure I don't show the picture. Okay, yeah, I know. Why the images did not get leaked, but they're actually from what I wanted to point out. It didn't come from iRobot customers. But it was part of, like, there were some consumers who had agreed. You know how you get the you sign the privacy thing, and you say, yeah, I agree. Or if you're in like a trial and you agreed to have whatever a robot, or, well, in this case, the robot, anything it hears, anything it sees, to share the images with the startup. So these people agreed to that. I talked about, the article goes on to talk about how, like, the people in this group, capture pictures of, like, their dog or, child, etc. But the article goes in a direction of the ethics of it all and the privacy, and how we opt in simply by using the product as noted in privacy policies with vague language that gives companies broad discretion in how they disseminate and analyze consumer information. So something to chew about and think about, because it goes on to talk about how the data, collected by the vacuum, by the robots, vacuums can be invasive. And then, just like with Alexa, or even Siri, or one of the elders of our family called Siri Sirius. Hey, Sirius. But these devices are always on, they're always listening, they're always watching. And then, because these technologies become so embedded in your lives, you forget that they're there, and they're always listening, always on, always taking pictures. So something to think about, right? So this article from iRobot, let me do a quick time check because I didn't want to go long, because I got one more thing. Okay, cool. We're right at 21 minutes. But yeah, I'm going to leave a link to this article, y'all. It's real interesting. I'm not saying I love tech, and I'm not saying not implement these things in your homes, but just think about not only how they can help you, but also what any potential drawbacks can be. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is anti-intellectualism in dating. And this is, good evening. Good evening, everyone. Joy. And then ACDN for educational consultant. Please do go check our channel as we talk about going back to AI-driven virtual nursing. AI-driven virtual nurses in the continued advancement of robotics in healthcare, and thinking about the future of work for nurses, and how we can prepare ourselves as professionals. ACD4N, educational consultant, on her channel, she talks with professionals and talks about ways that we can prepare ourselves professionally and skill up. Her channel focuses on that. And, we want to be ready. Right. We don't want to be caught off guard as these technologies continue to change the way that we do our jobs to care for patients and their families and their loved ones. So the last thing I want to talk about is anti-intellectualism in dating. And I came across the TikTok, and I'll share TikTok from Burb and Bougie. But I wanted to share it because if you all have not heard, there's a country in the world, and I won't mention it because I don't know how the algorithm will pick up if I mention the country. But there is a country in the Middle East that, as of today, Tuesday, December 20th, 2022, has banned women from attending colleges. You can Google it if you have not heard that story. It's all over, like the BBC, CNN, etc. But in that country, the politicians and heads of government, the Ministry of Education, I believe, Ministry of Education, but one of the heads of government and the politicians have decreed that women can no longer attend any colleges. And I believe the same country has already made it either very difficult or has banned young girls from being in secondary schools, like, middle schools and high schools. They can't go into public parks. They can't use the gym. That was already in place in this country. And now women are not allowed to be in college. So women who have been attending universities, the new decree is all universities can no longer let women attend. And I believe I think the article I read from the BBC, if I'm not mistaken, it mentioned that some of these universities that already separated like courses and things like that by gender. And now women are no longer, like as of today, no longer allowed to attend college classes. And all the universities in that country have to reply back to the government to say when those measures have been put into place. So I came across this TikTok either yesterday or earlier this morning, and let's just watch the TikTok, and then I'll dialogue a little bit, and then we'll wrap up. Let me just do one more quick time check, and let me just share my whole screen. And the reason why I'm talking about the ooh, child, let me take a sip of my tea. That thing is tripping me up. Anti-intellectualism in dating is because when we think about, if you're dating, thankfully I'm not in a place where I have to do this anymore, but if you are dating and you're coming across, and this is talking about cishet relationships. So if you're dating in a cishet relationship and you come across a man who is discouraging to your education or your career, but we're talking about education, how that could impact you. And we think about what's happening with women worldwide now, at least in this particular country, where they can't even attend college. Like, imagine being a college student and you're in class, or you haven't gone to class today, and you just told you just can't go to college anymore, right? So where that the right to education is being is at threat in other countries. Okay, so let's watch Bourbon and Bougie's TikTok, and she also has a YouTube channel, and hopefully you all can hear. If you can't hear, just put like just say can't hear in the chat, and I'll stop.
Good morning. I got a story time. So this woman reached out to me after seeing my TikTok about anti-intellectualism. So I'm just going to read this. I just responded.
Can y'all hear that? If you can't hear it, okay. I'm thinking the volume is going through. Okay. All right. I'll let it finish playing. And it's 2 minutes. I meant to do a time check. It's 2 minutes too.
To your TikTok about anti-intellectualism. I had a few experiences and wanted to share an experience that is still fresh on my mind. I was getting to know a man who was close to 40. He seemed put together, secure, and we seemed to be getting along well until he asked what I did for a living, and it went downhill. He began to throw low blows and say, I just work as a blank. He's a manager. I'm not going to tell you a manager, right? It was cringy, and thankfully he ghosted me. I've noticed these type of responses becoming more frequent. Thankfully, it wasn't a dusty pookie seeking a handout, but it seems like insecurity is increasing daily. This is one of the text messages he sent her. He says, I'm a little speechless. I'm going to be honest. I see you talking about all these amazing things that you do. And I'm like, I manage a couple of insert his place of business that I'm not going to speak on. So I asked her what she did for a living, and she said she's 44 with a BSN.
Okay, and I'm just going to pause it here for those who don't know. A BSN. So this person, the lady who is telling sharing her story time with this creator, is a registered nurse, and she has her bachelor's of science degree in nursing. So for those who don't know what BSN means, that's what BSN is. So this is a nurse talking about her experience with y'all, pray for my tongue. Anti-intellectualism in dating. Okay, let's watch the last 40 seconds.
And a master's in public health. She's worked in clinical research for 10 years, and she's been in bedside nursing. And she took this job so that she could have some flexibility to have time with her daughters. What I love about women is that we understand the rigors and the time constraints of mothering. So her taking this time and taking this route in her education was, number one, so she could provide, and number two, so she could be there for her children. And this seems like a slap in the face to other people who might not be as well off or as accomplished, but somebody else's accomplishments has nothing to do with you. And this entitlement or this anger or this anti-intellectualism is ridiculous. Anybody else have anything that they want to share? Feel free to send it. I'll get to it as I can.
So yeah, y'all, that's it. So this TikTok, I saw the TikTok again, last night or early this morning. And then I saw what's happening in this country, not this country, not United States, but in other countries around the world where women's education are being taken away, right? So the anti-education of it, and how this woman who was dating cishet men, a man, and this creator shares other stories. So this is just one, and it just got me to thinking how, like if you are dating and you're dating someone who may have less education than you, like that's not, like having a degree doesn't make you better than anybody. It just does not, right? Having degrees, bachelor's degree, master's degrees speaks nothing to a person's character, male or female, right? It just does not. It doesn't make someone a better person. It does not make someone who does not have those degrees less of a person, right? So it's not fair or right for someone to feel like, well, this person has a degree and they're better than me, or this person doesn't have a degree, I'm less than, right? So someone else's accomplishments does not diminish the other person. So it's just an interesting story time, and I just think about what's happening elsewhere in the world, and just wanted to share that and get you all thinking about it. And I'll do a quick comments check. It's two totally different things. So true, right? It just doesn't speak to the character of a person, and it on my mind a little bit what's happening elsewhere with women's education, and not being able to pursue or have freedoms, and being able to do things. And then even if you're not in that area of the world, if you're somewhere where it's not under threat, but you are trying to date or have a relationship, and you're coming across people out in the world who feels like because you're doing education, you're more educated, they may try to negging, or they treat you differently, or just try to make you feel bad because you have those things. That's it, y'all. As always, I'll leave a link to this creator's. She has a YouTube channel, but I'll leave a link to this specific TikTok, and then her YouTube channel is the very same thing. And I'll also leave links to the articles about the AI-driven virtual nurses and AI-driven robots in the hospitals, because it really, y'all, we're at the end of 2022. 2023 is about to pop. So it's really, we really need to be thinking about how it's going to change the way we do our work in healthcare. That's it, y'all. Please do like this video and share it if you found it encouraging. Comments are always welcome, as long as they're respectful and inclusive. And I'll see you in the next video.